Hello, welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. Hi, I am your host Candace. Thank you for joining me for another episode. I really appreciate it. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing book 2 in Lauren Asher's, what is it, Dreamland Billionaire series? It's one of those. Anyway, book 2. I'll put it here because I don't have the book. Here's the cover. I'll put it up here because I don't have the book. But it is called Terms and Conditions. And like I said, it's book 2 in a 3-part series. Now, if you hear any thunder in the background, that's what that noise is. It's thunder. It's getting ready to storm here. Pray we don't lose power, because if we do, I'll be talking to you in the dark. Okay? Now, the deets for this book. I just realized I didn't print out the blurb. It's fine. I'll take a break and go get it in a minute. The deets for this book. This book and all the books in this series are free to read with KU. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, it is currently $4.99. If you want the trade paperback for this book, you can currently get it for $11. That's a steal. But I think it's so cheap because it's available widely at many retailers, like physical retailers. Like, they have these books at Walmart. So obviously they can't charge $18, $19 for a book that's you can buy for $12 at Walmart, right? So that's a very good price for a trade paperback, though. Don't sleep on it. It's a good book, okay? This book is also available in audio. I listened to the audio, and the audio is narrated by, I have never heard of this female narrator before, and I have no idea how to pronounce her name. Is it Mora? M-O-R-A-E. Brian? Anyway, that's who it's narrated by. She's the female narrator. And then Jason Clark is the main male character narrator. I love him. I love his voice. Before we get into my notes, I am back. Sorry for the shakeage. I am back with my trusty reading journal. Thank God that I have that. Okay. I printed out the blurb. Old school style. That's how I used to do it when I didn't have my reading journal. Okay, so the blurb for this book says the 2 main characters for this book are Declan and Iris. Anyway, I think his brother's name is Rowan. I think that was the name of the character, the main male character for the first book. Anyway, this is his oldest brother. Declan is the oldest, okay? Ooh, it's raining. It's raining now. So the first part of the blurb is from Declan's POV. I'm destined to become the next CEO of my family's media empire. The only problem? My grandfather's inheritance clause. Fulfilling his dying wish of getting married and having an heir seemed impossible until my assistant volunteers for the job. Our marriage was supposed to be the perfect solution to my biggest problem. But the more we act and love for the public, the more unsure I feel about our contract. Caring about Iris was never part of the deal, especially not when breaking her heart is inevitable. Part 2, Iris. My plan to marry Declan was simple in theory. Move in together, throw a wedding, have a baby. We set rules to prevent any kind of issues. Ones that were never meant to be broken, no matter how much Declan tempts me. But what happens when our fake relationship bleeds into our real one? Falling in love was never an option, at least not for me. Okay. Now, I thoroughly enjoy Jason Clark's voice. I really loved his narration for this book. The female narrator, I was not so sold on. It took me a good long while to get used to her voice. Iris is a person of color, and I think naturally, as you would do as an author, Lauren went out of her way to get a person of color to narrate this book. At least I'm assuming. I have not looked up this narrator. Okay. I'm just guessing that that's the case. Now, I think that's great because, to my knowledge, a lot of the narrators that I've listened to, and again, I don't look them up because specifically I don't want to know what they look like. Because I have an image in my head when I hear their voice, especially with the men. And most times, that image can be completely shattered when you see what they really look like. Okay? And not necessarily because they're unattractive. They just don't fit the image that you've envisioned in your head. And after you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So, this narrator, the female narrator, for some reason, she sounded older than what the character was depicted as. So, you know how sometimes somebody can have like a very deep voice or like a gravelly voice or whatever. You can tell the difference between when you're talking to someone who's in their early 20s versus someone that's in their 50s, like, or 60s or whatever. You can tell a difference between a younger voice and an older voice. And in this case, she sounded older than what Iris was, in my brain, Iris was supposed to be. And even the age that she was portrayed to be in the book. That's just my opinion. A lot of other people may have really enjoyed her voice. I didn't mind it. It just that one thing I wanted to mention. Just in case you decide to do the audiobook, be prepared that that could be a thing. Okay? Another thing that I really enjoyed about this book that I put in the likes column was the banter between the two main characters. They do have a lot of banter. Declan is very snarky and sarcastic, but in like a deadpan kind of way. And Iris was very feisty in many areas. So I liked that she called him on his shit a lot, right? Okay. For the individual characteristics, for Iris, I wrote works for Declan. African American, has asthma, commitment issues, and she's dyslexic. For Declan, I wrote wants to take job of CEO from dad. Brothers, cow, and then in parentheses I wrote substance abuse issues. And then Rowan, see, I was right, Rowan. And then in parentheses I wrote with Zara from the first book. Asshole father, alcoholic and abusive. Mother died from cancer. So those are the deets I wrote down for Declan. You hear this thunder? This was what I would consider He Falls' first novel, because it wasn't necessarily that she didn't feel feelings for him first. He recognized his feelings first. So that's what I personally would consider He Falls' first novel, is the first character, if the main male character is the first character to even internally admit that he's in love with her or in love with the opposite person, it's a He Falls' first novel for me. So that's one of the main tropes I took away from this. Obviously, fake marriage and forced proximity are also major tropes in this book. Billionaire boss, that's a trope. There was a bunch. There's a fucking fluff in front of my face. All right, I'm going to read you guys the notes that I took verbatim. And hopefully we can make heads or tails of this plot before we wrap it up. Okay? Okay, book opens on Iris and Cal, who's the youngest brother, at a restaurant. Iris has found fiance for boss Declan. So Declan, like the other two brothers, is set to inherit a large chunk of this Disneyland-esque empire from their deceased grandfather. However, in order to inherit their portion, they have to meet certain requirements that he has laid out in his will. At the end of the term that they're allotted to meet those requirements, there's a board meeting that takes place by people unknown because they don't know who's going to be on the board at the time. There's a board meeting, and they decide if the brother has satisfactorily met the goal that the grandfather wanted for him, right? Okay. So for Declan, in order for him to become the CEO of the entertainment portion of the company, he has to get married and have a baby within, I think it's like a year, something like that. So Iris is his assistant. She works for him. And she has found him, allegedly, someone to marry him. Nobody wants to marry this guy. Even though he's a billionaire, nobody can tolerate him for more than 5 minutes except for her. Which is as you do, right? Okay. Also got word that her app for job transfer was denied. So she's trying to move up in the industry, and she applies for an HR job within the company, and her application is rejected. Meets up with Declan and finds out fiance quit. He has to get married and have a child to become CEO of Dreamland. Iris steps in to save his ass. They announce engagement. Seth Kane offers her bribe to admit it's fake. Seth is his father. He's a piece of human garbage, this guy. She tells mother and grandmother about engagement. Her grandmother. They want her to have a church wedding. At work, Declan tries to get her to sign contract, but she refuses until he makes changes saying he'll be a present parent because he's basically gonna phone it in. And she has abandonment issues from her father already, and she knows what it's like to only grow up with one loving parent, and she doesn't want that for her child. So his idea of, I'm just gonna basically skeet that life into you and then you just do all the raising, she's like, I ain't having that. If you're not gonna be down to love our kid, then we're not having a kid, and I'm a bounce. And he's eventually, obviously, he agrees, but yeah. He meets mother and grandma. They test him by feeding him hot food. He tries to get her to elope. She refuses. They get married at church. He gets mad at the reception, is mean to her in the car, have close call with sexual tension later. His father's sniffing around, so he decides to take Iris on a honeymoon. After convo with Cal, she decides to plan a trip to South Africa. She thinks she's getting 10 days off. She thinks this honeymoon is going to be like a honeymoon, and that she's basically taking her first vacation in like 3 years. He plans to work the entire time. Working on a merger with Japanese guy, Yakura is the way it was pronounced in the audiobook, to plan a park in Tokyo. She gets angry and says she's going to quit. He apologizes. Turns his phone off and makes an effort to spend time with her. Her mom calls to tell her there were articles coming out about the marriage being fake, clearly started by his father. Back at office, Seth shows up and offers her money to not have a baby. She punches him. Hurts her hand. He calls her names and Declan hits him too. I really like that part. Wants to kill him, but Iris forces him to take her to the doctor. So she basically plays up her hand injury in order to get him to calm down and take her to the doctor. Her finger is fractured, has to have a splint. He helps her do stuff. They go on fake date where gossip columnists will be having dinner. They put on too good of a show. He realizes he wants her. He starts saying things to her in a different language, which, okay. I think it's just my boring Americanism, but anytime the main male character speaks to the main female character in a different language, I internally set on fire. I am over the moon. I love it when they do that. And he starts saying words to her in this language that she doesn't understand. And she later has to look them up. And they're words that are obviously portraying like vulnerability on his part. But she doesn't realize it because she doesn't know what he's saying. So I literally wrote, he starts saying things to her in different language, sweet words for her to look up. And then in all caps, I loved this. I loved this. They go for another fake date at charity gala. They dance. The chemistry is off the charts. And it was hot. He plans fake date for them, takes her out in his mother's car, explains why he uses foreign words, how his mom and him used to do it, takes her to botanical gardens, tension builds, they get back home. And then in all caps, again, underlined, I wrote, have sex. After, they argue over why he used a condom. He walks out, realizing he's developing feelings and thinks she isn't. Ends up at Cal's house, realizes he's in love. That's why I said it was a He Falls first novel. Goes home to find her asleep with her phone in her hand, carries her to bed. She wakes up and is mad at him. He tells her he's falling for her. Tells her he made everyone change their fonts to make it easier for her to read. Oh my God. I literally wrote OMG. So Iris is dyslexic. And from the beginning, when she got this job, she's been struggling to work for him, to do anything that requires reading. She hasn't told him she's dyslexic because he's not the type of person that allows leadway for weakness. She thought he would see it as a weakness on her part and that he would fire her. So she didn't tell him. So she's just been struggling for the last 3 years doing everything. He makes everyone in the company change the font they use in all their documents and emails to one that's easier for her to read. Admits he sabotaged her. Oh my God, do you hear this? He admits that he sabotaged her job application, which I think we all could see coming. He invites family over to hang out for Iris. Later, he gets email from Yakura, who seems to want to pull out of project. Iris has idea to take him to the park. He shows up early with Seth, Declan's dad. Declan spends whole day fighting for attention. Goes off on Iris for dad knowing the plans of where they are. He later finds out they fight. They fight and she leaves. Literally gets on a plane and leaves. He later finds out from Yakura that he was the one who invited his father on the tour of the park, not Iris. And he goes after her. She leaves him, turns in resignation. He goes after her. Cal comes to work to take her place. He adopts a dog, buys her a house with greenhouses. Cal helps set her up to meet him. He proposes and gives her a new ring. She says yes. So essentially, all of the stories that she told in the beginning of their fake relationship to reporters, like news columnists, bloggers, the press of any kind, or like friends and family even, that like all the stories she told of like what they planned to do with their life, what kind of ring she wanted, like all of these things, he makes it his mission in the end to make all of those things a reality for her. How she says she wants a dog from a shelter. He literally goes to a bunch of shelters to look for a dog that meets her specific requirements. And buys her like a house. She loves plants. And he buys her a house with a bunch of greenhouses. It's very romantic. And he does a good bit of groveling. And she forgives him. And then they get married for real. Love it. Okay, there are 2 epilogues. In the first epilogue, Iris is pregnant, having a girl. In the second epilogue, the little girl, Ilona, is 5. And Iris is now pregnant with twins. She's also graduated from college. And Declan is CEO. The end. Okay, I personally liked this book better than the first one. I know what you're gonna say. Candace, you're queen of book 2. You always like book 2 better than book 1. I enjoyed book 1, don't get me wrong. I did like it. But something about this one, the banter between the 2 of them, the grumpy sunshine routine, I just liked it. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think that's it. Would I recommend this book to other people? Absolutely. Would I recommend this series to other people? Yes. I am chomping at the bit for Cal's book, which is book 3, which I will be starting soon. Because I have a feeling he's going to be my favorite. The ones who are always the most damaged end up being my favorite. Which I think is, for a lot of people, feel the same way. But I would highly recommend this series to other people. It's very well written. I like her writing style. I like the way she writes. The banter is good. The plot is good. Everything's good. I have no complaints. For the rating for the book, I would give it a solid 9. I did really enjoy it. And I do really like the series, so I would recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, if you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group and Instagram, and can't call it Twitter anymore, but that's what it is, that I don't really use. So don't follow me there anyway. But I'll link them all in the description box below, and I'll put a little banner here for you guys to see. And yeah, I think that's it. I really appreciate you guys joining me for another episode, and I will see you in my next one. I love you so much. Bye. Can you hear that? It's thunder. Thunder and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, 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 Figaro. Figaro, easy go, easy go. Hi. Okay, let's get into it. And now I'm back from outer space. I just came in to find you with that sad look upon your face. Did I? Did I though? Declan is the older brother of Ronan from book 1. Ronan? Rowan. Rowan. Yeah, right? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Nope. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Oh my God, how far back is this? When did I fucking read this book? The first one. No, it can't be that far. Oh, wait. Nope. Hold on. Hold, please. No, what the fuck? Did I read it when I had my other reading journal? Maybe I did. I guess I did. Ooh, love, am I a fool to believe in you? Well, I don't know. Done. I don't know anymore. Okay. All right. I'm done. I don't think there will be a lot of bloopers in this one. Mostly just because I got to get back in the swing of things. I feel like I've been so I've been so absent for such a long time that now I'm discombobulated and I don't know what I'm doing. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I love you, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Clickety click, 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 click. I haven't done that in a long time. Clickety click, click, click. I haven't actually clicked. I'm gonna click now. Let's see.